So Tim, my first question to you is you wrote the book on landing page optimization a while ago. What do you see happening out there with people?
I'd say that I wrote the book almost 4 years ago, and the first edition. The second edition will be out this spring, incidentally, with a lot of revised content. And my co-authors, Rich Page and Maura Ginty, did a great job. But what I see is really the growth of an industry for the first time. A few years ago, it was crying in the wilderness about landing page optimization, and people didn't even understand what it was. Now it's kind of the competitive edge and a must-have for many companies. And it's spreading out from kind of the high priests, like agencies like our own that can help you with it, to more of something that's seen as a must-have internal competency. We're doing a lot with mentoring and knowledge transfer and helping bring up internal teams inside a company. So it's really becoming a profession.
That's good. It's good to see that something where you're out in the wilderness and people are starting to embrace it. So now, what do you think is going to happen in the next, say, 2 to 3 years in this? Obviously, nobody is good at predicting the future, but kind of what do you see as the key trends that people should be aware of?
Well, I think that we think technology is really new and is somehow dynamically going to change everything we do. I don't think that's the case. A lot of what's involved in page optimization is essentially persuasion, and persuasion hasn't really changed. So good copywriting, good visual design, usability, but also psychology. I think that one of the weak links that people need to kind of go back and understand the human mind, psychology, how we make decisions, and there's a lot of fantastic work being done right now in the field of neuromarketing and understanding at the level of the brain why we act the way we act and why we're influenced by certain things.
I find it interesting that you mentioned that, Tim, because I agree with you that whether it's social media or marketing programs, you're still dealing with human beings. You're still dealing with people. You're dealing with the way they think, and there's been a lot of Freakonomics and everything that showed how everything you thought was wrong. Like everyone thought that if you pay high commissions, you'll really motivate people. Well, it turns out people aren't motivated by money. They're motivated if they're not being paid enough, but as long as they're living comfortably, they're typically not motivated by money. So there's a lot of surprising, as you said, mind research that's being done. So let's talk about an overall standpoint of websites, landing pages, outbound marketing, all the various things going on. What is your take on the integrated approach about looking at the entire process from the pay-per-click ad to the landing page to nurturing to scoring? Kind of what is your overall view of what marketers need to embrace?
Well, one thing that's clearly needed is kind of end-to-end accountability. For large companies, they have these giant systems from Omniture, for example, or even business intelligence and data warehousing, and they can really make the connections. But what's interesting to me is that even mid-sized companies and smaller companies can now use marketing automation software, like the sponsors of your show, to really get a better sense of the life cycle from initial touch points on the website, the subsequent email communications, and how the efficiency of every step is working. I think it's critical to understand that. So it's not just what happens on the landing page, that's just one piece of it. It's really having end-to-end visibility into the effectiveness of your marketing.
That's a good point, Tim. It is really about end-to-end, total life cycle, every touch. And you're right, our sponsor on the show, Act On Software, has software that really helps companies do that. So is there anything else, any other thoughts on your mind that you want to share with our audience today?
Yeah, I think that increasingly important is going to be mobile. Smartphone adoption is skyrocketing. Mobile bandwidth is finally increasing, and I'm on 4G speeds on my phone. And so now these kind of rich experiences are becoming possible on the website. Now, you're not going to replace a 30-inch monitor desktop for a visual experience, so it's much harder to work with. But at the same time, all kinds of time-sensitive marketing techniques become possible. People that care about what's in their local area, within walking distance, or in the next half hour, or they need information right now. So that kind of, if the motivation of folks is already high and they're looking for something, mobile marketing can answer that very powerfully. And it's a wild and woolly thing. It's a bit of a Tower of Babel right now with all the different platforms out there. But I think people start understanding how to do that effectively are going to have a huge advantage.
I think you're absolutely right, Tim, that being able not only with smartphones, but real-time communication based on, the GPSs in phones too. We know where they are, so we know they're shopping in Best Buy, and we're HP printers. We could but again, I also think the thing that's important to remember at mobile, I think you have a very different relationship with your smartphone than you have with your computer. The computer is something you go to when you want to get work done. Your smartphone is your buddy. It's with you all the time. So I think it's more incumbent on people than ever to be gentle and not overdo it with communication on mobile devices. I think that's an interesting aspect of a very different relationship with the mobile devices too. And I think you're right. It is a tower of
So
that.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, when I get a spam email and you just hit spam in your mailbox, I don't think twice about it. But if I get a spam text message on my phone, I consider that highly intrusive and annoying, like you say, because it's a more intimate place. So why are you getting in my kitchen?
Right, absolutely. I mean, what's the first thing you do in the morning when you get up? You look at your phone, right? You see what news came through overnight or what communication there are. So, yes, I agree. It's a very different environment. But anyway, Tim, I want to thank you for being on the show today. It's been a lot of fun. I think we've learned a lot, and I really appreciate you being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Jeff. Anytime.